So hi everyone, once again to the channel Study Up On. Today we are again going to start with the topic HCL, hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid. Yesterday we did with our properties with the preparation of HCl gas. Now today we will perform or give a lecture on physical properties of hydrogen chloride gas. So let's quickly look upon this table, which is very much important. You need to remember many things in it, and the question may come in the board examinations for the following also. So first you need to remember it's a colorless gas, and the most frequently asked question in pre-board examination or even in the board it might come. Pungent choking smell. What's the smell of hydrogen chloride? So they might ask you what's the odor or the what's the specific word for the smell. You might also answer the question like that it's a pungent choking smell. And so they might ask you the taste. See, generally hydrochloric acid is an acid or hydrogen chloride gas, which is also an acidic in nature, but here we are talking about the taste. Generally the taste. So acids generally have the sour taste, okay, and basic things generally have the saltish taste, or sometimes they taste neutral. So that we will study further in ammonia. Ammonia is a basic gas. So here we need to remember that it is sour. In next chapter, in HNO3 or nitric acid we will study. It is a nitric acid, mean acid, and acid will also have a sour taste. You need to remember nitric acid will also have a sour taste. Hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid will also have a sour taste. Okay, so moving on, that it has a sour taste. Then physiological nature, it is corrosive in nature. Generally acids being corrosive causes blisters. See, you need to remember 2-3 points on your fingertips, that it is corrosive, irritates throats, lungs and nose, and even it can cause blisters. Wear blisters on the skin. Okay, so you need to remember acid generally gives such properties like corrosive nature, irritates nose, throat and lungs, and causes blisters on the skin. So you need to remember that. And no need to remember the exact boiling point and melting point or the density. This one you need to remember. You need to remember only the in density. You need to remember that how many times it's heavier, because it is also given in the preparation of HCl. Yesterday we told you about the preparation HCl, that it being the heavier than air, 1.8 times it's given, 1.28 times heavier than air. 1.28 times heavier than air, then only it is collected by upward displacement of air. So that's why you need to remember this as a QR question. See, where I will make you write the QR or give reasoning question or question of reasoning, you need to write there, because they are the important question of reasoning. Many kinds of reasoning comes in the exam. See, there is what do you observe kind of thing, then another is QR or question of reasoning, and another is one word. Iske alawa nothing as such comes, such a big thing to write big answers. You will not be given any time. You will not be given the experiment to write. You will only be given the give reason, small question or one word type question to write in the examination. Okay, see, they might give you the name of any chemical to write by giving it any physical property like that. So that's why I am telling you that this table is important one. Isko chhod do, boiling point, melting point, ye sab ज़रा पूछते नहीं है. But yes, you need to remember that smell, taste, odor of in previous pages I told you yesterday about its combined state, कहाँ found होता है, free state में कहाँ found होता है, that particular gas. Just make one table on your copy like this, tabular sheet only, ऐसे ही बना लो, and then there you write the heading color, smell, taste, where it is found in free state, where it is found in combined state, like that. And some QR question you may write down in the copies. Okay, so as you go through the chapter, you need to write down the QR question also, because they are very much important. Okay, so coming back to the point, boiling point is -83 degrees Celsius and melting point is -103 degrees Celsius. Okay, as such, liquefaction and solidification, when subjected to high pressure at low temperature, it is liquefied to a colorless liquid. See, you need to remember that. Okay, जब high pressure होता है, 40 atm is very high pressure, and at low temperature 10 degrees Celsius, very low temperature, it is liquefied to a colorless gas. That is also the experiment performed in the labs also. If your school takes to the labs, then they might also perform you the experiment as such. Okay, and so the solubility test, yes, you need to remember that 1 volume of water dissolves 452 volumes. They might ask you the question, how many volumes of HCl dissolves in 452 volumes, or they might ask you the question, what do you mean that HCl is highly soluble in water? Then you need to write this concentration, that how much, and by water's how much solubility, it is volume it's soluble. Okay, and then HCl being polar covalent compound is soluble in organic non-polar solvents. Need to remember, HCl being polar covalent means here you need to remember that what kind of bond does HCl implements upon the other bonds, means कैसे HCl का क्या bond होता है. You need to remember polar covalent bond होता है, और polar covalent specially they have a property you might have studied in the bonds chapter. We will also cover somewhere bonds chapter also sometime in future, but yes, coming back to the point, you need to remember the property of polar covalent bonds or compounds, that is it is soluble in organic non-polar solvents such as acetone and toluene. You need to remember the examples. See, this will serve as the example. They might ask you the question, HCl is soluble in what? See, this is a random question I am writing, but they might ask you in any language. Means what kind of you may write it. What kind of organic non-polar solvents make the HCl dissolve in them? Like this question they may ask you. So you may write organic non-polar solvents and the examples acetone and toluene. Okay, so you need to remember this table. Just once again, I am reminding you that please chalk out one table: color, odor, which covers color, odor, taste, and then one of its main properties of physiological properties of density, like here it's soluble, heavier than air, and then another property can be 1 volume of water dissolves 452 volumes of HCl. And you may write then after the table start writing the QR question which passes by when you go through the chapter. Okay, coming back to the point, let's start with the experiment. That's a very important experiment, often comes as an experiment. Dekho, it's a small experiment, chota experiment hai, that's why it may come to write in the pre-board examination of your school. So even because in board examination they might ask you the property and not the whole experiment, but in pre-board examination they will test you that how much do you know to the roots, and that's a good thing, and that's why you need to remember this experiment. Just you will remember the things, please recall it in your mind by closing the book again and again, then only you will know the chemistry very well. Okay, in order to give a good hand or good marks, get a good marks in chemistry, you need to remember and recall the chemistry on regular intervals. Okay, so coming back to the point, experiment to demonstrate density to show that HCl gas is heavier than air. What's the aim of the experiment? Firstly, whenever you need to write the experiment, the question will come. Guess what? Give some experimental tips, or give me or depict the how HCl gas is heavier than air. Then you need to write this. Okay, you need to write this experiment, and but only the main point or main keyword is that aim. First you will write the aim, HCl gas is heavier than air. Then the main keyword will be from here. the candle gets extinguished, the main keyword extinguished, because HCl gas being heavier than air. See, if you will remember the properties, heavier than air, first property is heavier than air, second it is soluble in water. It will cover more than half of the space of the chapter. See, you need to remember the properties on your tips only. So coming back, the candle gets extinguished because HCl gas being heavier occupies the lower portion of the jar and forces the air out of it. So the candle gets extinguished because HCl gas being heavier occupies the lower portion of the jar. What occupies? Which occupies? Which gas mainly occupies the lower portion of jar? HCl gas. See, they might give you the experiment as a diagram. They might remove the HCl, ask the question A, then here lower portion of the jar B, and then what is it? Obviously candle, but they might give you some of the easy question that what is it, and what, then they might ask you the question aim of the experiment. These kinds of question may fall upon the paper and you might be forced to ask such question because if there is no choice. Okay, choice hai to fir kya, lekin yes, if it's not the choice then it's one of the easiest question you need to prepare. So here generally you will answer HCl gas. Then this is candle obviously, and this question might come that after HCl gas is poured upon, what will you observe, which gas will you see as the lower part? You might write this question as in your copy wherever you are writing the notes. So air is the lower portion of the HCl covers the lower portion of this tumbler covers the HCl gas, or consists of the HCl gas which is heavier than air, and so it settles down. And as it settles down, it will extinguish or make the candle extinguish its flame. So the forces the air out of it, and this experiment proves that HCl gas is neither combustible, not a supporter of combustion. This is another properties. As we will pass by, the properties will also pass by. So first property, I am writing here only. First property is heavier than air. Then second property is HCl gas is soluble. Soluble in water. Then third property is neither a supporter of combustion nor burns itself. Like hydrogen, it burns with a pop sound, ना so product से बोलती है. Hydrogen, whenever you will do an experiment in experiment lab, you will find it, and means many of the gas. And oxygen is supporter of combustion. In many big jungles you will find fire often because a lot of oxygen is there, and because of that sunshine also, if there's a dry leaf, then if sun will shine, then they will give a blast out of a fire. But yes, still because of oxygen is supporter of combustion. Whenever you will see, whenever there is a fire, you will see there is a when the air blows, the fire increases. Why? Because of the presence of oxygen in the air. Okay, but here HCl is not a supporter of combustion, means neither burns something else nor burns itself. That's the main point covering in this experiment. So you need to write these three properties. Remember these three properties on your tips, then only you will get upon the chapter. Okay, coming to another experiment, that is a very important experiment. See, in chemistry nearly everything is important, but you need to focus upon the important question during the preparation of the board exam. What is important? Mainly it's important of the QR question of reasoning, give reasoning question, and the tables which you make. That's why I'm asking you to make small tables where you will look upon fastly, and you will save your time during the chemistry examination because of the vast syllabus in it. Make small tables, just give a quick good look upon it. Remember that you will rewind yourself to that table, stick to that table at regular intervals as soon as you go through by the chapter. Then only and revise it properly, then only you are going to get that thing very properly. Okay, so let's go through this experiment, a very vast experiment, and also tells about some of the more properties. That property is same, highly soluble, but one more property that when we will go through the experiment, I will discuss with you. So, this aim of the experiment is to show that HCl gas is highly soluble. The great solubility of the gas can be demonstrated by the means of fountain experiment. See, the question arises, what see, the diagram will be given to you, and what specific name do you give? To experiment. The question arises, what specific name do you give to the experiment? Then you might ask the question, you might answer the question that it's the fountain experiment. Okay, so fountain experiment, never it comes to write, but yes, you need to remember the small points. As you pass by, write small points. Take a dry round bottomed flask filled with dry HCl. See, what's the bottom flask filled with? It's filled with dry HCl. They might ask you the question, what is A filled with? It's filled with dry HCl. Yes, and arrange the apparatus like this only, means it's tilted or mouth downwards, and on the mouth of the flask fix a rubber stopper with 2 holes, and through 1 hole pass a long jet tube. No need to remember that, but only you figure out the thing that yes, you are able to recognize that what is that and what is this in the lab, and in the examination also you will only get the main thing, what's the structure of this thing, what is this called, what is this called, otherwise you won't be able to answer the questions properly. You need to remember this. Okay, and through other holes pass a dropper with a few drops of water. Put the jet tube in the beaker containing blue litmus. Now that's the another question, what is the jet tube containing? The jet tube is containing blue litmus. See, here is the blue litmus solution, and jet tube is also containing the blue litmus solution. See, a rough figure I will make. Here is the dropper, okay, and this dropper consists of the small amount of water. As soon as you plug the dropper or squeeze the dropper, some of the droplets will come here. Very small droplets of water. And as you know, HCl gas, 1 volume of water dissolved 452 volume of the gas of HCl at room temperature. Here only if 2-3 droplets come, then whole of the HCl gas is dissolved. Nearly, not whole, it's nearly whole of the gas. Okay, so nearly whole of the gas is soluble, and it will, here the pressure implies upon the tumbler. प्रेशर आएगा, आउटसाइड एयर प्रेशर भी तो होता है. सो अगर यहाँ पे बिल्कुल वैक्यूम हो जाएगा, एकदम वैक्यूम टाइप कंडीशन हो जाएगी, जैसे यहाँ पे HCl डिसॉल्व होगी, here it will create वैक्यूम और बाहर का प्रेशर लगेगा, एंड बाहर के प्रेशर और वैक्यूम प्लस की वजह से, वैक्यूम प्लस आउटसाइड एयर प्रेशर, दिस blue litmus will arise upon the tumbler, or the round bottom flask, yes, and this will give out as a red fountain. Up now you will say why the red fountain? Because nearly whole HCl is dissolved. Nearly 2-3 droplets of HCl are still remaining on this surface of the round bottom flask. So that's why when the blue litmus comes inside, it is neutral. Blue litmus is neutral or basic. The color of the basic gas is blue, and the acidic is as soon as it goes into the acidic, it turns as red. Okay, so as soon as it goes up, it will turn as red because of the presence of the HCl gas, small, very small. See, don't forget to write very small amount of HCl gas on the round bottom surface of the flask. So it will give out as a red fountain because of the presence of the acidic HCl gas. So what does this experiment imply upon? This experiment imply upon or shows that HCl gas is acidic in nature. First of all, you need to write that point. HCl gas is acidic in nature. blue litmus turns red due to the acidic nature of HCl gas. That's the I think we have studied 3 properties. That's another 4th property. And another thing, due to high solubility of, and why this experiment takes place, you need to answer the question, what is the phenomena that enhances this experiment to take place? That's the phenomena of high solubility of HCl gas and the upward air pressure and the vacuum presence inside the flask, inside the tumbler and the round bottom flask respectively, which enhances the HCl to move, the blue litmus to move up and give out a red fountain inside the round bottom flask. That's the whole answer, covering your point, every essential point. सब आ जाएगा इसमें, ड्रॉपर भी आ जाएगा, ड्रॉपर squeezes, as soon as dropper squeezes, water comes out, HCl gas will dissolve, then due to high air pressure and vacuum inside, blue litmus will go up, and that will be because of the great force in the jet tube, the HCl gas dissolved, blue litmus goes up and comes out as a red fountain. And that's the main experiment you need to remember, and that's the main point. Okay, so everything I have covered, and give reasoning question also comes. मैंने पूछा कि what's the specific phenomena, वो give reason के form में भी आ सकता है. As the water goes in the flask from the dropper, HCl gas present in the flask dissolves due to high solubility. देखो मैंने बताया आपको कि ड्रॉपर की वजह से, जैसे you need to remember only 2-3 points only. 2-3 points अगर आपकी टिप पे होंगे, then you will remember the whole experiment very easily. It's a very easy experiment. So ऐसे होगा क्या कि HCl gas present in the flask dissolves due to its high solubility. इस पानी में पूरा का पूरा HCl gas dissolve हो जाएगा, और उसके बाद प्रेशर जो जाएगा लो, और जिसकी वजह से अंदर प्रेशर लो होगा, वैक्यूम क्रिएट हो जाएगा, एंड बाहर से तो प्रेशर लग ही रहा है. दैट्स व्हाई ब्लू लिटमस विल गो अप एंड कम आउट एज अ रेड फाउंटेन. ओके, दीज आर द 3 पॉइंट्स. ये फर्स्ट रीजन वाला पॉइंट, एंड ये वाला जो 4th हमारा प्रॉपर्टी थी, ये वाले पॉइंट इफ यू विल रिमेंबर, और इसका नाम फाउंटेन एक्सपेरिमेंट, उसका नाम ये पूरा रिमेंबर करोगे 1 2 3, देन यू विल गेट टू नो द होल एक्सपेरिमेंट. जस्ट मेक आउट, इफ यू आर मेकिंग आउट दिस टेबल नियर दिस, देन राइट दिस its name, then what's the depicted in this, press the dropper, it's in blue litmus enters jet tube with a great force, ये लिख दो, और फिर उसके बाद रीजन लिख दो, and then outside pressure being heavy, ये पूरा लिख दो in a table की form में. You will get to know half of the experiment, more than half of the experiment. बाकी तो डायग्राम का काम है, you need to only label that properly, because ये बनाने को नहीं आएगा, but मैं only predicting that it will not come to make the diagram, but yes, it will come to label the diagram. So you need to label the diagram very clearly and very neatly. That's why it will show your neatness as well as your accuracy in the exam. So that was for today. This is the part 2A for HCl, and then in next part I will cover this whole experiments.